All right, I've got to try to get this thing on X working. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so obviously you aren't going to sideline me as an engineer, a sapper leader, or whatever else I would be in the military to translate, even if I was proficient bilingual. But there are people we have that are in uh, what will be frontline units and things like that. Again, I don't know what stage it's in or where it's going to go, but we need to identify people that not only speak Spanish but speak English well. You'll find people in the military that have a proficiency in Spanish and kind of working knowledge of English, but they're not really capable of fast translation and or accurate translation. So just start locating people that we can put into like a headquarters element, and then they won't stay there long. They'll be farmed out. Every squad level should have a Spanish speaker if possible. But obviously a platoon, if it had one or two, that would be fine. You may already find that exists naturally. What we're going to do, you do a lot of work. Military intelligence has some. Let's see. Well, your civil affairs is going to have to, if we end up doing something down there. And again, this is a good time to figure it all out if we don't deploy. I'm sure somebody's in the air. I would definitely have people in the air. I'm sure you have people on the ground ready too. But we also have to maintain the border perimeter while we send people for possible deployment. So one of the things that we want to do is to be able to communicate. Right. We want to be able to communicate throughout Mexico. And we want it down to the squad level if possible. And if we have to juggle a couple people around, I know it. People train together, they go to war together, and they don't like to be juggled around. But right. What you might find is that you can grab people from a unit. Okay, so the augmentee idea, we augment a squad. If you're sending a squad in and you have 10 people in a squad, you bump it up to 14 or something like that. And then you can attach a Spanish speaker from a unit that isn't deploying as a unit. So we had I don't remember who they were from, somewhere in 7th Corps in Germany. When we went to the Persian Gulf, we had 2 or 3 people extra. So what you want to do is you want to identify people in units that you can just say, hey, send this person. And you put together like a platoon of translators, and you put them on a plane and you send them. Like your unit might be who knows where, Could be even somebody in DC sitting at a desk. So let's get our Spanish speakers moved down towards the border at a minimum. Our extra people that we can augment with and attach to these units and increase their strength. If it gets to that point. But again, it's something to design. I'm not sure what happened down there. Laura Loomer could be accurate, might not be. But again, it could go to anything. I told you that was their plan, especially even up here in the United States. So the question is, do they actually have Guthrie? or is it? It could just be a single nut bag, like a what Silencing of the Lambs type of thing. Some great. That'd be the hardest guy to catch. Like a lone wolf nutso who's just lost his mind. I mean, there are indications of that. His gear is kind of out there. Right. But there could be other reasons. He's pointing at my cabinets. Yeah, you have to get into Puerto Rico. See, a cop in a police vehicle, it's BS. They should be moving. There should be armor down there, like I told you, just for this. And I said bulldozers. I said bulldozers and armor. Send bulldozers if you can. If we go in, send bulldozers. Time to move the things on fire out of the way. Armored bulldozers. Imagine if it involves Americans, I imagine certain people will be there for sure, and certain people are already there. I realize that. Now, Mexico needed to put mass numbers of armored vehicles out, like the Striker, a little bit less, and they didn't do that. That's why they were losing. See, this is what we don't want to happen in our border cities. Right. Now, what did they go into the airport for? Just part of the mayhem, or are they securing the airport for the cartel? I, I can't see them being able to hold ground, but they might be able to. Well, because I don't see any of their armored vehicles out. Right. So what they're good at is ambushing, and when they use their armored vehicles, but that's their forte. When they're out in the open, they don't do too good. Now they'll try to blame this on Trump. That's bullshit. El Mencho needed to go. I guess you were going to snatch him or something. He just didn't want to go. Right. I mean, this has got to end in Mexico. Yeah, Democrats will be like, leave those poor people alone. Right. You would turn it into a third world country with people that from Colombia that aren't even doctors saying they're doctors. All right, so yeah, I told that the whole thing with the bulldozers and the armored vehicles on several occasions. I'm trying to get it because if we go in, that's what we're going to need to maintain any type of because they'll keep lighting vehicles on fire. So we need maximum number of bulldozers and plow tanks to move the flaming vehicle roadblocks on the fly. We just don't stop. We just push it out of the way. Some of the semis we might need to hook and pull. No, I don't think about this long and hard. I do everything on the fly. It just comes into my mind. I do it. What you would do. There's something by Reagan right next to that Ranger thing. I'm not sure, like in my gallery. I was looking what the post and the Ranger thing was already there, and then right next to it is something I haven't read it yet. It's like a Reagan quote. What does it freaking say? My fellow Americans, I'm going to speak to you tonight about a mounting danger in Central that threatens the security of the United States. This danger will not. Oh, that's trippy. I'm going to show you this. This is what was in my gallery next to the Rangers. See if I can get this. All right, so let me figure out how to do this. I'm going to do a print screen. That was trying to get me a new keyboard and everything before this happened. Oh, wait, that's not. Yeah, screwed up. I'm on a different machine than I usually post on. All right. Get to these. So we can see. I saw Reagan. I'm like, I wonder what that says. Because in my gallery, I couldn't read the thumbnail. Can't find either one. Are they hacking me? Yeah, they're hacking me. Looks like they're hacking me. Looks like it disappeared because it's right here. There it is. Ooh. And it was a metaphysical hack. So, the White House, yeah. Kind of a shitty day for it, but it was nice. Oh, I'm listening right now. If you don't hear me speaking, I'm listening to what's being projected. So again, uh, this is what I called what I said they would do in this type of instance. Again, we didn't do the bigger operations. This kind of like, right, they're moved out of order. They were ready for us, right, but the way it was done, it moved them out of order. Yeah, they probably planning again, and then the big worry, like I said, I think I may have sent it to CIA. I can't remember how I did it, but I said was that this would happen in our nation. So that's part of the deportation that they don't understand, or that they weren't told, and oh well. Like, well, it's not only military age men, and that's obvious. Wait, what's G7? Full X full. IL is actually Israel. EOBX. That's probably a code for the code heads. But what's G7? I forget what G7 is. Well, that's the G7 nations. Like, Right. So I would do that, as you're in the air or whatever. If you go, notify the G7, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom. I tease Italy. That's we know who's there. I think they have other missions. AA, that's 82nd. Terrorist. V is terrorist. So something terrorism. Uh, we need to keep an eye out for terrorism. Something around maybe the 82nd also. Maybe around me. 14 has a number around me. Full expo. No doubt if they didn't do this stuff to me, I'd have been a ranger, so it doesn't matter. I'm not, I don't need the designation. I do the work. That's all that matters. A lot of people have the designation and don't do the work. Right. It's just such a strange day with the weather. Right? Somebody's cursing us to snow because it's like even snowing when it's not supposed to snow. It just melts. But what did it do on the east side? Did it actually snow? Or did it warm up? I don't even think did I ever actually post that Ranger image? I think I downloaded it, but skipped posted. I can't remember because I generally would go for something colorful. Let's see what we got here from the Department of State. Where'd the other ones come from? Where'd the notice come from? Not the Department of State page. It's like a notice page. Is it somewhere else? So in reality, it was good to do it the way you did it. You triggered them. I was waiting for us to go in. Right. Oh, it's on their site, I guess. All right. Looks like it's settled down a little bit for now. Nothing coming through. 10 rounds downrange. That's a recommendation from the Army. Yeah, they killed my wife before I get back in the military. And actually, I was thinking about it, and I told some people, and obviously they ran to the deep state, and then they hit me even harder. Right? Right. So you got, yeah. Here's a sign that you got everything up. Right. The border is more heavily guarded than ever, and oh, the engineer council at a store. Where they come from? Oh, the embassy of Mexico. Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's why I told you that's what they do. But the whole thing was to make sure it didn't happen here, right? Not that we want it to happen there. And see, not having ice. See, this is the other thing. We got ice everywhere, and they're all ready to go. They're trained up. Got some rookies, but well, if they start up in U.S. cities, we're ready. Right. And see, we needed Bovino back down at the border. Right. But if we do either experience it here or we go into Mexico, and again, you can send the advice to Mexico on the bulldozers and plow. They don't have any tanks. Right. The problem is we can't trust their government. We never wanted to arm them beyond a certain point. I believe we should, but well, that's how people become brave. You give them, armor protection, they become real brave. Those people went to their deaths. They're some of the bravest people in the world have fought those cartels. Right. But I mean, I felt bad for them. I'm like, what? This doesn't make any sense. They were sacrificed. Hmm. Yeah, because look at the vehicle here. I'm going to share it on my post, on my page. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Highway patrol vehicle? I mean, what the hell? Right. Makes no sense. That should be an armored vehicle. Those people didn't have to die. I agree, Larry. They may have been planning a revolution also, a real one. Right. I mean, they're not the brightest people on earth. So I'm not saying it would work. Well, the con tricksters, you know how to throttle it, right? Right, and then nobody acts. You know, take it to the edge. Democrats are going, "Oh, Trump is bothering these people." They're hardworking Mexicans. You might have leaks if Rice acted when you believe a leak was leaked, because again, you usually just know that things are leaked. Right. Then you know you got somebody leaking, could have leaked your investigations. And also, remember, the deep state makes people afraid of speaking the truth. That's why you get so few people coming forward. So she, not Condoleezza, what's her name? Susan Rice may have been trying to stop people from coming forward. Because the longer you stay in and succeed, and the more they think you're going to stay in, the more likely they'll blow the whistle. But if they think you're going to get thrown out of office, they may not. Right? See, they didn't deploy their armored vehicles. Thank you much. Thanks. Yeah, I recommended bulldozers and armored vehicles for any operation in Mexico, including their people. I'm not sure what I said about the armored vehicles the bulldozers as far as Mexico. I know I've said it along the way. I just not sure how resolute I was about the upgrade of that equipment. But the armored vehicle for sure. I mean, you're not going to get anywhere in Mexico until you protect those officers. I mean, they're dead. I mean, you could have half the number of officers in Mexico if they were riding around in armored vehicles. Maybe even a quarter of the number. My potato chips. I only had some potato chips, regular chips, not my nachos. Might have a sandwich and some chips here. A sandwich. A little popcorn for the show. Yeah. Sandwich. Well, it doesn't matter. Go ahead. Now, he may be a metaphysical power, but El Smencho will take over. wherever El Smencho is. And then El Tencho. No, Pencho. Obvious somebody told him to hit the streets. Unless that was the plan. So we went to Fort Campbell. You promised to bring back the fried chicken at the shop at. I was one of those payday favorites for me. Even though I'm a vegetarian now. Yeah, that's smart. Let's burn our Costco. I guarantee the narcos are like, darn it. Next week, you know. One gone dead or in jail. And Costco is gone. You're in pickup truck. I wonder if somebody collected the reward or it was got intelligence. Now I mean, I wish this wouldn't happen, but we needed to trigger this. Right. Now, I don't know what the camera systems are there. We need these people identified. Oh, Steinbeim's smiling because she took out Elmenko. Uh, the military is going to deploy everywhere. Right? Take out the rest. I don't know if that's really live or not. But. Well, if she did let U.S. troops in, I don't know if she did. It's just a rumor. Then she should be thanked for stopping that bullshit. Oh, no boots on the foreign boots on the ground. You know, Mexico wouldn't exist without the foreign boots on the ground back when they sought liberation. They had a foreign legion. Right. First time I became ship. That's like punishable by death, isn't it? First thing we cave ship. They keep saying there's movement to Europe. I don't know if that's real or not. Because there's a lot of disinformation steered, focused on causing dissent, radicalization. What the hell Trump think he's doing? Or not hell Trump, I mean, hell, what the hell Trump, not hell Trump. Oh, yeah, I posted that stuff yesterday. Maybe I can find it. Nah, I'm fucked off pretty bad. I can't see a whole lot. I mean, I see more than everyone else, probably, but that's not a lot for me. El Trumpo. The shooter's clean cut. Something's up there. Right. It must be a login. Should download it. No. Guy posted all three of these. So they're a little confused right now. Wondering how I got Elmenko. Focus there. Army Counterintelligence Command. Nah, actually Shinebine needed to have that triggered. Right now they can assess and look at it. But again, I'm still, we still need to get more armored vehicles into those people. It doesn't have to be tracked; it could be wheeled. The Mexican police should be driving around on those soft-sided vehicles. Not even their armies in those. So. I'm sure there's CIA people down there somewhere. I hear from something representing something we can. Well, we needed to have that happen. That's a pretty big thing compared to what they were doing before. Same thing, but right. Well, we're going to find them and figure it out. Well, what I would recommend is something hard sided to go down there. I mean, I don't know what kind of armored vehicles they got, but I'd have it fast tracked to. I mean, unless there's a defense plan. I mean, I don't know Mexico's defense plan. Well, because the longer they do it, the more likely they'll do it again. But the quicker you shut it down, the less likely they'll do it again. Sounds like they'll do it again. Maybe in another city. I don't know. But they need those bulldozers and armored plows and stuff like that to move that stuff out of the way quick. If the plan was cohesive. Interesting map. So as your list go, I think he's to the east of that though. We got Central. That's to the side, but that's right. I can that's right. It doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah. The Central is part of the Elementio squad there. Area of representation. Area of influence. All right, say peace, well, praise God, and all should do praise God.